Hey everybody, hey, it's Neil Morse. How are you? You knew who I was, probably. I hope you did. Maybe you didn't. But this is my Sweden coat. This is my transatlantic coat. I actually bought it in Sweden. And now I feel like I can't wear it anywhere else because of the transatlantic thing. Anyway, having a virtual masterclass. We're really excited about it. And it's going to be in 3 different sessions on 3 different Saturdays. The first one will be initial inspiration, and I'm going to write something. We're going to write something together. I'll take your suggestions online, so it'll be interactive. And then the next session will be probably finishing that process and then starting the demo process. And I really want you to see how I work in here, what my setup is like, and the things that I do in the different phases of making a record. And the last phase would be making an actual record, and all the different things that go in as you rise to that level. And so I hope you can join us. I'll have help getting the audio and the video, pristine, hopefully. And hope you can be a part of it. It's going to be great. This is Neil Morris, and welcome to Musicians Having Coffee and Talking About Stuff. And today my guest is the amazing, wonderful Mr. John Anderson. And I'm so thrilled to see you and to talk with you today. Yeah, it's great to see you again. It's been too long.
Still alive.
Yes, you look great, man.
Yeah, I feel good, just in my studio every day.
Yes.
For the last year, every day.
Right. I just have to show this cup that a wonderful friend and fan made, John Fiala, I believe I'm saying that right.
Yeah,
look beautiful. At that. I have my own special podcast cup.
You got a thing happening. Well done.
Yeah. So how's it going out there in California? How's it going?
Well, I'm very happy here with my wife Jane. We live up in the hills away from the noisy village, which is about 2 miles away. But we're up in the hills. We have an incredible vista.
Wonderful.
And it's summertime. I don't know. The weather's so beautiful here. It's
right.
Amazing.
A little different than England.
Oh, God, yeah. But the topography, strangely enough, is the same as where I was born. And,
really?
When I go for a long walk up the hill, I have this incredible view, and it reminds me of place called Accrington, where I was born in Lancashire. But as I say to my brother who still lives there, I say, yeah, but the weather's really good here.
Right. Yeah, is that near Manchester, somewhere up there?
Yeah, it's 20 miles north of Manchester, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, great. Well, it's a little different scenery once you get to the top of that mountain, I'm sure.
You betcha. You just in awe of this Mother Earth that we live on, and the home that we are abusing.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you care so much, that you identify so much with America. I mean, how long have you been living here?
It's now probably since 1990.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a long time.
That's when I came. I've been on tour with ABWH. Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, and Howe, which was a fun tour.
Oh, I saw that tour. I saw it in LA. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was out there somewhere.
Yeah.
It was great. It actually was the night that I think you had a sub bass player. Yeah,
because the great Tony Levin got really sick halfway through the tour, and Jeff Berlin came in.
Jeff Berlin.
Yeah, he rehearsed the show in 2 days. I mean, he was so good, so smart.
Yeah.
A good old friend, So the whole concept of I may as well stay here in America. I've been working here through the 80s doing Big Generator that took forever. And then I actually recorded 3 albums, one with Vangelis. Most of the songs we wrote in Beverly Hills where Vangelis had a studio in his house. I actually was going to go live in China. I really was. I don't know if you know the story, but there was a tomb found 1974 in Hubei province, central North China. And it was full of terracotta soldiers, about 1,000 of them with chariots and horses, all of terracotta, life size. Did you ever remember seeing that?
Wow, no,
Well, it's in National Geographic. So it's in Hubei province, and it was something that was so remarkable to see.
Mm-hmm.
And it was about 3 years later, in 1976, 77, they found another tomb not far away. I think it was only 10 miles away. They found another tomb full of instruments, musical instruments.
Wow.
Ranging from 7-foot brass bells to 7 inches brass bells, 77 of them. And there was kotos and instruments very much like this guy. I don't know if you see it.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And koto, percussion, flutes, wood, all sorts of things, a full orchestra. 2,500 years old.
That's amazing.
2,500 years old. So that's why I went to China. I wanted to work with the company from Hubei province and sing with them. So, things you want to do in your life,
Right. You've had an amazing life. That's amazing.
Yeah, but I wrote some really interesting music, very special music, and I still have it. I haven't finished what it means, but, you write music, and 10 years later you say, oh, this is really good.
Yeah, or it finally finds a home, And it's interesting how everything that you do, everything that I do, good or bad, or it finds its way in to my writing somehow,
because
in really funny ways, so in unexpected ways sometimes.
Because you're surrounded by certain elements of musical energy. That's
right.
Okay. It's another phone. But you're surrounded by certain elements of musical energy, and it stays with you because it's your psychic knowledge of who you are. And now and again you play a little melody and think, what did I played that about 5 years ago? Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh, and there it is. And what happens basically is your time of life catches up with the music that's waiting for you to rediscover it. Mm-hmm. And I know this for a fact, that there are certain musical things that I'm still doing that I actually wrote, 30 years ago. I released one on my Facebook just Christmas now called Everlasting Christmas. And I've written 3 pieces of music. My first voyage into what you might call classical structure, musically speaking. And I was living in the south of France, and I was actually writing some music about the artist Marc Chagall, and also a story about the fairy kingdom from a book that I'd read called A True Fairy Story by a little lady in North London. Anyway, the idea was that music that I'd recorded on cassette, I have maybe 100 cassettes in my garage, honestly. And then I found one and I went, oh my gosh, I remember that music, and I put it on my computer. And then I sent it to a friend of mine in Holland. I'm just trying to get his name because it's one of those, Arjan Kiel.
Oh, yeah.
He's a really great composer in Holland. And I sent him the music, and he did a beautiful orchestration. It was already orchestrated, but he tweaked it and made it sound really good. Mm-hmm. So I re-recorded it just as I had so much time this last year. I re-recorded it. I asked him to send me the MIDI files so that I could actually sound all my soundboard using all my sounds that I have from Omnisphere and things like that.
Right. Omnisphere.
Yeah. Gosh, yeah. Thank you, Omnisphere.
You mentioned that to me a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
When you people probably don't know this, but you had asked me if I was interested in being the kind of utility man on your last tour with Rick and Trevor.
True.
And you mentioned that word to me. I remember that you were. That's where you were coming from. Yeah.
It's a very, very powerful instrument. There are more now coming through, but that was the first one that really inspired me to. And you see, the guy who put it together, the Omnisphere guy, is an old friend from years ago.
Oh, really?
Years ago, yeah. When I first came to, it's strange that I'm remembering now. When I came to live in LA. Having decided not to live in China, I came to live in LA. And
that's quite a switch.
Yeah.
I grew up in LA.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, you see, LA is a very powerful place, right? And most people don't know why, but it's an ancient place from, when I lived in LA, I'll tell you the story. So you may as well hear the story. On my way to LA to work with the guys on
was that Big Generator?
Big Generator.
Yeah.
Which took forever. It was just a waste of energy and money. But a good album, you know. But I was there in LA and I'd read this story on the plane coming to LA that the Hopi grandmothers of Big Mountain had decided not to move. They'd been asked to move many times by the American government because the American government wanted to strip mine that area, and it's their most sacred place.
Oh, which area is that?
It's called Big Mountain. It's on the vortex of the 4 states. I think it's Nevada,
Arizona,
Mexico,
California,
Arizona. Yeah.
Okay.
It's right there.
Oh.
Anyway, they weren't going to move these beautiful, beautiful people. And I read it in Time magazine. So by the time I got to LA, I wanted to learn more about Native American culture. I've been living in LA. And lo and behold, the more you think about something, the more somebody comes knocking at your door, you know?
Right, yeah.
And a friend of mine that I bonded with is a guy called Gary Barlow, who's a wonderful guy, engineer, musician. And he was working in a studio. And I went to talk to him about how much did he charge in the studio from 12 to 6 in the morning? And he said, nothing. I said, can I use it?
Right.
So
I used to do that too.
Yeah, you have to, you know.
Do the 12 to 6 thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that. And I went, you know, Gary called me a week later and said, look, something's happening in East LA. There's a big sort of convention in this school. It's all to do with the Hopi grandmothers. And I said, good, I'm going to go. And the adventure that I went on through that experience was remarkable. I finished up doing an album called Toltec, and not many people know about it. But to me, I actually played a track of it last week, and in surround sound, I couldn't believe how good it sounded. It just sounds like, thank you, you know.
Oh, that's great. Really triumphant, huh?
Like I was saying, the music follows you eventually. So I better stop talking.
Well, that's what we're here to do, man. That's what we're here to do. I would imagine that the other guys in the band were not quite in this space of following the Hopi grandmothers.
You know, I'd been studying, at that time I was studying meditation, so I wasn't really doing anything other than trying to calm myself down, you know.
Sure, because you're really pumped up after the show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of energy.
So we're driving to Boston and stop for some gas, you know.
Yeah.
And there's a cinema next to the gas station, and there's a sign up on the cinema saying, it says Spinal Tap. So I said, Spinal Tap, what the hell is that? And Tim, bless him, said, oh, it's a movie about rock and roll. It's supposed to be pretty good. It's just been released last week.
Oh, wow.
So I said, okay, it was 2:00. Let's go watch it. Went to I never laughed as much in my life. There was me and Tim and Steve and a little lady in the back of the theater.
I saw it when it came out in the theater as well, and my reaction was different. I got depressed.
No,
it was so much like real life.
damn right.
It was so much like my life.
It was.
I can relate to so much of it. I tell my son to this day, it's like he hasn't seen it. I'm like, you got to see Spinal Tap. I mean, that they just nailed it.
Yeah, but this goes to 11.
Right. Oh, just the other day, I was telling my daughter, about the guy in the dressing room. The meat's circular and the bread's square. This is a disaster.
It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
And who's in here? No one. All that stuff. Yeah, it's classic.
It was so much like my world.
Right.
And I laughed all the way through the 2-year tour. I laughed all the way through it because it wasn't real in a sense. It was so, you treat it like royalty because you're number one and all the record companies are going, okay, thank you. Well, I've got work to do. And I was busy writing more music, in fact, on that tour.
Yeah. Well, I know that you have quite a high standard. I felt that honestly, I was so glad when we did our music together on the cruise, on that Prog Nation cruise. For us, that was just wonderful. We all thought you just sounded great, and
I couldn't believe
which
it.
is quite a relief. We've all had the experience of hearing somebody that we've loved all our lives, or you go to see. I am sure you've had the experience, and I'm not going to name any names, but sometimes it's been really sad. In fact, I dragged my kids to one of them, and we went way out of our way to see this band that this is going to be so great, and they were so bad. My kids were like, "Dad, why did you bring us here?"
It was the drugs.
They used to be really good, so we were so I think you still just sound so great, and we loved that set that we did on the cruise. But I know that you didn't feel quite like it was up to your standards.
No. You guys played great, and I was exhausted because it was like we started at 11:30.
Right. Yeah, we didn't finish till 2, I think.
I know.
Yeah.
What am I doing? What was I doing? Revealing? What the hell was I thinking?
Yeah, right. When you sent me that email, because I heard, it's going to be, mostly the popular songs that we're going to do, and it's going to be pretty easy. And, I was really familiar with those songs. And then I got this email, I think Mike copied us all on, John wants to do the Revealing Science of God.
I know. Because I'm going through a very interesting time in my life now. The re-releasing albums that I did 30 years ago, 40 years ago. And I was sort of, you know what it's like, because you kind of, how do I explain this? You spend hours and hours making an album and you're sick of it. You love it, but you don't want to hear it again.
No, you don't want to hear it again. Totally.
No. So you go out and do it live, and it feels good. Actually, we should have recorded it just like this.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
Because that was the key to the Yes experience. Is we did first two albums, going in the studio and building blocks like kids, building blocks. Put the drums down and bass first, and then put the guitar on and the piano, and then the vocals. Do you think it sounds good? No, you're going to start again. No. When we did the Yes album, I said, look, we're going to go away together and live in a house in the country and learn new music. And they said, why? And I said, because going in the studio, learning music is boring as hell, and it doesn't sound great. It sounds okay. I mean, we did okay with the songs, but so we went to this farmhouse, which was haunted, which was fun. We had a what do you call a Zuby board?
Ouija board.
Ouija board. And the little girl liked our music, the little girl ghost. And we were doing Gates of Delirium. No, Sorry, I
At
jumped.
least she had good taste.
No, we were writing Yours Is No Disgrace
Mm-hmm.
and Heart of the Sunrise. I think it was that time. Yeah. No, Heart of the Sunrise. Yours Is No Disgrace for sure.
Heart of the Sunrise would have been the next record. Yeah.
With Fragile. Yeah. So I actually, when I'm talking, I like to know what I'm talking about. But anyway, yours Is No Disgrace and Starship. No, I don't know.
Starship Trooper probably is on that record. Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. So we rehearsed these songs and then we went on tour. So we were performing new songs to an audience that already liked Yes, because of the songs we'd already toured with the year before. They were happy to come and see us again. Oh, new songs. Oh, it feels good. This is nice. So within about a month or so, we really knew the songs very well. And then we went in the studio and recorded them like a band.
Right.
Voila. Yeah. You know, was it All Good People was on it?
Yes, All Good People, yes. Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, that's how to do it. And for that time period, it was perfect to do an album of songs we knew how to play. And I think we learned a lot by jumping into that place.
Yeah, that's great. A lot of people don't want to do anything, I think, these days without a click track. Do you find that?
Well,
I'm sure you guys didn't use a click track, did you?
No, but I think there were times that, obviously in the 80s, yeah, of course, you know, when it was sort of foreign to me to have a click track. But then as time has gone along, I spend a lot of time working with some young teenagers up in the Connecticut area.
Ah.
With my friend Paul Green, who created School of Rock.
Oh, cool.
25 years ago. And he sold the rights to that. Now he has the Academy of Rock. And it's just young kids, you know, teenagers, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. Man, they're so good. So I enjoy working with them. And I suggest to them, always use a click track. And they say, okay. I said, you can make one by just, you know, maybe a bass drum, boom, 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 all the way through. Or like a shaker, you know, a tick, tock, tick. No, make a shaker or something like that. You can get them, you know.
Yeah, something more musical.
At least when you play, you'll be in time all the way through. And then you can go back and learn, add more things, and so on and so on.
Yeah, it's great for overdubbing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was talking to this young girl 2 days ago about it, because she is quite extraordinary. The harmonies that she creates are very advanced. And there's a couple of guys who do the same. Very advanced vocalizing, if you like, you know.
Wow.
And I always tell them to get in touch with Jacob Collier, who is a phenomenon. I don't know if you know Jacob.
Yes, I've heard of him. Yes.
Brilliant. You should check his work, please, because anybody who's watching this podcast, check out Jacob Collier. He is the future of the world. As somebody pointed out, there's a couple of times that he's performing with an orchestra, and he does all the orchestration as well. He's 26, writes the songs, plays every instrument.
Yeah.
And there's a little comment at the bottom was, oh, what a great guy this guy is, you know. And the best comment was, welcome back, Mozart.
Wow. Well, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, he is on such a level. He inspired me for the last year or so, 2 years when I first heard his music. And he's put out 3 albums in the last year. And he just released, the third one was just not long ago. And they're quite brilliant. You know, at the end of advertising, they always have a voice saying,
yeah,
He did a rap song just like that.
Really?
On his new album. It's unbelievably good because you can hear every word. You can hear every word, but it's so fast.
Yeah, I don't know how they do that. That's amazing.
No. So Jacob Collier is my main dude at the moment.
All right. Well, I'll check that out. Hey, back to those Yes days. So I shared this with you, I think, before. I don't know if you recall. But so I was 12 years old when my brothers who were a little older, and they took me to see Black Sabbath at the LA
yeah.
Forum.
Yeah.
And there was this new band that I had never heard of opening up called Yes.
Yeah.
And I've talked about this many times. I mean, I didn't know. I mean, you never know. But I had no idea how that was going to impact my life. My dad was a choir director, and my uncle was in a jazz vocal group called the Hi-Lows.
Yeah, I remember them.
Yeah, the Hi-Lows. Yeah, but they were kind of the pioneers of jazz vocal harmony. And
Yeah.
so I grew up in this house and of course, Beatles and Simon and Garfunkel and Stevie Wonder. So I grew up in a music house with classical music from my dad and singing madrigals when I was like 4 years old, and
Beautiful.
and then all the jazz and all this stuff. So as a kid, I loved all that music, and then I got into the power of rock, like Black Sabbath and Deep Purple. And when I saw you guys, it was like it all came together. You had all the elements in a kind of magical way that just I'll never forget when you guys played Heart of the Sunrise. That was with Bruford.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
we knew who we were.
It was amazing when, Wakeman sat down and played the little bit of the kind of classical flavored piano thing, and the mellotron and the 3-part vocals. I seen all good people. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you guys were my band after that. That was it. I was 12. You changed my life, John.
Excellent.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
That's great.
I had many events in the course of my experience with Yes. It was interesting that we'd been rehearsing for about 3 months, and we thought we were pretty good. We were doing songs you would not believe from the Fifth Dimension. We were doing, because they were Jimmy Webb songs, and Jimmy Webb was well known for MacArthur Park.
MacArthur Park, yeah.
And so there were songs, Here Inside My Paper Cup, Everything Is Looking Up, a great song from the Fifth Dimension album. And we were doing that, and then we were doing a different version of America, with
oh, I love that version.
With a bit of Bernstein,
Oh yeah, but the intro is so great. Who came up with the yeah?
And then we do the other thing that I really enjoy is we toured very early on with Richie Haven, who was a wonderful, wonderful guy and a great songwriter. And he was very famous for his work at the first big festival of the world was up in
Woodstock.
Yeah. And we did a song of his called No Experience Necessary. And I kept thinking,
know it well.
I need something in there. And it was the theme from The Big Country. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
But it worked on stage, you see, because there was something to capture the audience instead of this constant da-da-da-da-da,
Oh, really? Okay.
That was the idea. I was always interested in jumping from one experience to another very quickly in the middle of a song. All of a sudden you're doing that. Oh, really? Okay, let's try this. Da-da-da-da, And then me and Chris went to the local bar in London. It was called a Speakeasy. And we played there a couple of times when we first started. And, we thought we were good,
Yeah,
and we were walking around.
I can imagine.
Yeah, we thought we were good. And then there was a band setting up to play that night, and it was the first show that King Crimson ever played. So King Crimson, who the hell is that? What the heck is that? So we stood there, and halfway through, I turned to Chris and said, we got to rehearse more.
Really? Wow.
Because they were unbelievably good.
Wow.
And about 4 years later, we were on tour in America, and we were on tour with the Kinks, of all things. And there was a show in the University of New York. The Kinks, Yes, and Mahavishnu Orchestra.
No way. I mean,
I tell you.
That's incredible. The bills that they used to put together is
I know.
like
And it was the first gig of this band called Miscellany Orchestra. Now, Steve knew John McLaughlin had got a band going, and Bill Bruford knew about him as well. So we went to the sound check, and my head went,
right.
whoa! Chris, we got to rehearse more.
So the year after seeing you open for Sabbath, I think it was a year later that I saw you at another auditorium in LA, and the bill was, you were headlining. It was Yes, the Edgar Winter Group, and a band that just had their first single called The Eagles.
Oh yeah, that was a fun tour actually. And
Do you remember all that? You remember what were those guys like? What was any of it like for you?
Well, the Eagles were very sweet. You know, they were country guys. You know, doing sort of country fun, love music, love country song.
Yeah, they would. Take It Easy I think Take It Easy had just come out.
Right, country rock, if you like.
Yeah.
From my standpoint, but they were really nice guys, and there was a lot of late nights, as I remember.
Really?
I never joined in that much because I was studying Sibelius and painting.
Sibelius, yes. I know you're a big fan of Sibelius. Me too.
I know.
Finlandia.
Hey.
Yeah.
The greatest piece is Symphony Number 7.
Okay.
Because I would play it on. I had a boombox in my suitcase. And so I get into my room, plug it in, and put on Sibelius. You know, I had all the symphonies. You know, and then one time I'm listening to the Seventh Symphony, and maybe I had a couple of joints. I'm just hanging out, waiting to do the show or whatever, and I thought, wait a minute. For the first time, I realized it's just one piece of music, 26 minutes long.
There you go.
And I never, because every classical album has like first, then second, then third movement.
Yeah, third or fourth movement. Yeah.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah, but this was like from beginning to end, and I listened to it maybe about that afternoon about 6 times. I just listened to it, just trying to figure out how could he, why did he? God help us, this is extraordinary. It's the last thing he ever did. He tried the 8th, he never got through it. But the 7th was his crowning glory, musically speaking, because it once you've listened to it and again, it holds you like the earth. It's just like listening to the earth sing to you. That's what I always think of, you know? And that's what sort of made me talk to Steve and said, I think we can do a long piece of music now. We've done Starship Trooper, we've done this, we've done that, and let's do a big piece, like a 20-minute piece, because you can only fit 20 minutes on a side of an album, you see.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
And it was like, it was such a breakthrough to go through that experience. You know, you're on tour, I'd seen my Miscellany Orchestra, seen all these things happening and think, well, you know, we just had a hit with Roundabout, and record companies want us to do another Fragile, you know, do another Fragile.
Of course.
I'm saying, no, the opposite. Because at that time, the universities had their own radio stations. So we'd go to the university to play, and we'd go and visit the radio station, and they'd be playing Gates of... there I go again. Yours and Norris Grace, which is 9 minutes long.
Right.
And they played all the way through. It never got played on the radio, local radio, ever. Roundabout, cut it in half, make it into a hit.
Yeah.
Thank you, it worked. But it just sort of made me feel like, I don't want to do that again. I really don't want to go and retread that world. I want to move on and do something different. And it was Sibelius who was my sort of, come on this way, you can do it.
Wow. Speaking of things, your backstage antics and things, you probably don't remember this, but I was on a tour with a group called Transatlantic with Roy Stolt and Mike Portnoy and Pete Roy.
Yeah.
and we had a night off in Frankfurt. And
Yeah.
this would have been about, I think, 2002, I think. I don't remember exactly, but you guys were playing at the Frankfurt Opera House.
Oh, yeah.
With the Polish orchestra.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've seen,
remember?
yeah. That was a great tour.
It was great. Oh, I absolutely loved it. And Chris was on fire.
But I've just been watching for the first time the actual video of that show. It's called Symphonic Live, yes, or something like that, from that tour. And it is so good.
Yeah, it is great. I love the way the conductor was just beating time, like all the way through I Get Up, I Get Down.
Yeah.
With all those little stabs and all that stuff that doesn't sound like it's in time.
Yeah, no.
And those young Polish girls mostly, wasn't it? Weren't they? They were so good.
A bunch of guys doing French horn. The brass section were guys.
Yeah,
a lot of girls playing the violins.
Yeah,
but they were digging it. You know,
it was great. They were. You could see how happy they were. It was really a good feeling.
The great moment was when we first met them, because we went to Poland. I think the first gig was in Warsaw. And we had to rehearse with them for 3 days before the first show, and they were going to travel with us around Europe. I think that was it. But I always remember them coming in like school kids, in a way, like, who's this and who's that? They're holding their violins, and who are these rock and roll people? Ooh, kind of thing, you know.
Right.
And so we started rehearsing together, and you could see them let go of all their fear of who we were through the music. And by the end, they were digging the music, and they were digging this, and they wanted to dance to this and clap hands in this section.
Yeah, it was powerful. I loved it.
We finished up going to Russia with them as well. And the video, anybody who likes Yes, you should get the video Symphonic Live Yes with the orchestra. It's such a great mix as well, thankfully.
Oh, great.
It's a very
I'll have
good
to get a copy.
Yeah, we did. I'll send you, I have a copy of a friend of mine in Ireland. He just did a video of Gates of Delirium. It's pretty cool.
Wow, cool.
Because I always envisaged a war going on at the same time as the music. And this friend of mine got some visuals from a movie which will remain nameless, but it works, you know. It actually makes the music better, the visuals.
Wow.
That's
great. So afterwards, we went backstage, and I think we didn't meet you, but I saw you just kind of eating a bunch of like really healthy looking food, and you seemed like somebody that was going to go off and meditate or something like that. And then the door opened to Chris's room, and all the smoke came out. And I believe he said to us, he said, "Welcome to Club Yes."
That was the yin and yang of the band, was me and Chris, you know.
Right, yeah.
He was definitely into the nightlife, you know, and I was the opposite. I was studying why I was becoming famous, because I was trying to figure out why me, you know, why would I become a rock star, to say the least. But just to become stable and famous is a very strange experience, because
Sure.
You're trying to decide why. Well, I discovered what it was. I had to become more aware of why I'm who I am, you know, and so on. So that's why I sort of leaned towards studying meditation, Native American culture, and so many different levels. And I'm still doing that. Once you go along that road of self-discovery, it's never ending, which is great, because
Right.
you feel like you're in the arms of like the song, in the arms of the angels, because
Yeah, in the arms of the Lord. Yeah.
Yeah, you feel like you're connected to the divine energy.
Yes.
Around us, and that's what I'm still evolving on that level, and treading very similar pathways along. My eldest daughter, you know, I spent that time in East LA with Native American shaman called Long Walker, and a great man. And I spent more time with him and going to Chihuahua with him and some elders to witness what it's like to be close to indigenous culture. And I was rereading Carlos Castaneda at the same time. This is like 1989, 1990, that period. I just went for a month with Gary Barlow.
Yeah.
And you go through those experiences, and I think the more the rock and roll side of Yes happened, the more quiet harp playing Sibelius guy I became, you know.
Right.
Because I knew I couldn't last in there. I couldn't last in the Yes club.
Yeah, it wasn't your thing.
Not my scene, man.
I have to say, Chris, we had a really good time.
Oh yeah.
I used to work with Eric Burden years ago, and he knew Eric a little bit, and so we had a good time talking about and being with him, and
yeah, funny.
What a lovely experience it was.
What a funny guy. Very dry. His humor was so dry.
Yeah, he was really funny and fun. Yeah. And really enjoyed being with him. But as far as like the spiritual things, that was really, John, why I ultimately became a Christian, was because I didn't really know it, but I think in my music I was seeking after the eternal as well.
True.
You know?
True.
And when I began to experience the Spirit of God, like in just like this little Christian church, that was the thing. At first I was scared. Yeah. At first I was afraid of it because I was like, what is this? But after time, it's more than attractive. And what can you say? It's, this sense of like, when you said that, and I always think about that. I didn't know it when I heard Heart of the Sunrise. I didn't know that God was speaking to me. But when I look back on it, the reason why I feel so much in how can the wind with its arms all around me? Yeah. It's like and I love your lyrics because they leave so much room. You don't necessarily understand it here, but you feel it here. Right. And that was the thing when I began to experience the Spirit of God that had me just go further and further into that.
That's good. That's good. We're very blessed to be able to know that in this lifetime, because there are millions of people don't know it, don't get it. Right. They don't know they want it, you see. Yeah. But there are millions of people that are really connected to the divine. And I always remember reading a book when I started Yes. It was called The Initiation of the World by Vera Stanley Alder. And now Vera Stanley Alder also wrote a book called The Finding of the Third Eye. And this was right at the beginning of me rehearsing with Yes that first year, 68 and into 69. And I was reading this book, and one of the first things it was saying in The Initiation of the World was that Christ's consciousness is already here. We are just connecting to it collectively through the ages. Christ's consciousness has been here since the beginning of time. Christ's consciousness is in every religion. If you look at every religion, and they pointed out the four major masters of Christ consciousness were Jesus, Muhammad, Krishna, Buddha. And if you think about it, it's just a logical explanation for the distance that we find ourselves between us at times. When people say, okay, well, Muslims and Chinese people, they're going down. That's the old Christian radio, send your money, we'll take you to heaven.
It's like, buy your ticket.
Come on. So that's where living and breathing that like you do every day is an affirmation of why you're still able to create, because your creativity is around you all the time. I hear the birds singing every day, and I know I can hear those melodies every day from different levels of state of mind. And making music like you do becomes not a chore. It's something you can't wait to do every day.
Right. Yeah, and you don't
discover.
know, it just comes. It just
Yeah.
comes. And
Yeah.
in fact, just moments before I called you, this thing just came, and I'm just singing it. And I put it in my phone. I used to put it I had to travel with a cassette player,
Sure.
because you have to, you don't want to lose it.
No, no, no.
Especially if you have that sense that it's really a precious one.
Yeah.
And so I just put them down as soon as I can, because sometimes there's something very subtle in the first time it comes out that you really want to capture.
Oh boy. We always think it's from somewhere else. Maybe I've heard this before.
Right.
From some musical like Rodgers and Hammerstein movie.
Or who knows where. But, we did this great thing just a couple of weeks ago. I was recording with the Neil Morse Band, and we had a Zoom recorder just running the whole time out of a headphone box. So it's recording everything that's going on for the whole time. Like, it was 2 weeks or whatever it was. And there was a lot of times when, like, somebody would play something, I would sing something over it, and it had something special about it. And then once we got to the end of the stanza, we went back to repeat it, and I tried to repeat it, but it wouldn't be quite the same.
Right.
So we'd have to, like, hey, play back the Zoom recorder, and okay. The cool thing is I stay on the F sharp for that 2 more notes before I come down, and that just gives it that cool thing. Anyway.
That's exactly what I did with Yes. I had a tape recorder, and I taped a lot of jamming and things. And there was a point in doing Close to the Edge where I'd written a lot of the song shape with Steve, but I wanted an intro, And the guys had been jamming away. I remember walking, and this jam was happening, and I said, "Are we recording this? We're not? Why not?"
Right. A lot of times it's like that. Hey, Jerry, did you get that? No. Did you want me to record? I'm like, well, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I said, okay. I just felt the vibe you were playing before. It's kind of it's like a charging energy. What I want you to do is come in like you're halfway through it. And they looked at me, and Bill said, What do you mean? Come in like you're halfway through the solo, not start a solo. Come in like you're right. Like that. Okay. What key? I said, I don't care. Just do it, okay? So they started off. And it was, I remember Steve playing, and they're playing away, and we're recording it. I'm saying, okay, stop. Okay, you need to stop in the middle. And Bill said, well, what do you mean, just stop? I said, yeah. I said, why? Because I'm going to do a vocal thing that goes, da.
Right.
And they say, well, where do you want to stop? I said, well, actually, I have a tape recording of Steve playing this. You played yesterday. You were playing it in a solo. And it's, you're going to stop there, Bill. Okay, John.
Did you think you were just crazy?
I don't care. I just knew. I just knew that it would work. So I said, "Okay, remember 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then went da. So as soon as you hear Steve play that riff, stop." So Steve's doing his and I look over at Steve, and he says, "Not yet." And he went It's like that was it. It was the idea of remembering that I had something on tape that could fit that moment, because I couldn't have thought that up. I just had to remember. I remember hearing it on the tape I had.
Yeah.
And so that whole experience of the 70s was based on a lot of work like that.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me, John. It reminds me, John, a little bit of how Mike Portnoy, who doesn't know a lot about notes, obviously just about rhythms. When he's conveying his ideas, many times it will be like, well, oh no, it'll be perfect. And he always uses this term, come on, guys, help me achieve my sonic fantasy. And, I mean, who's going to say no to that? Right?
Sure. Hey,
just try it. We'll come up to this place and then everybody stop. And that thing you were playing 2 days ago, he writes it all down on a board. He has like this magic marker board. He writes all the ideas that he likes on. And they're like, Eric, play this thing, this 6/8 thing.
Yeah.
We'll all stop and you play that. And then we'll all come back in with this other thing of Neil's or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And we'll go like, why? Right? Why? And
that was basically my game that I played all the way through with Yes, when it was everybody was really in tune, and obviously over a period of time, people don't quite connect at the same time, and it's like I always thought of a band is like an amoeba. It keeps changing its shape,
right,
in so many different levels.
Because the people are changing all the time.
Yes, you got it.
I wanted to ask you, about Rick and Trevor and all kinds of things.
The best thing about Rick, he came up with one of the great jokes of my life. Was on. Because Rick would forget that he told you the joke, so he'd tell you every 2 days.
Oh, so he's like me. I'm like that too.
Yeah. So you might have heard the joke, but it was people who live in Dubai, they never watch the Flintstones, but people who live in Abu Dhabi do. And on that.
Thank you, John. It was so good to be with you, man. Yeah, I'd love to do it again. Yeah.
Wish you well.
I wish you very well. Let's stay in touch, brother.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day.